So you brought up rent control, and before we dive into other things, give us kind of what happened in the last couple of weeks. I think we sort of dodged another bullet, but maybe only temporarily.
Sure. So rent control, and I'm sure anybody listening to this knows what rent control is, but simply put, it's when you put a cap on the amount of rent that a landlord can charge. And it's usually the government coming in saying you can only charge X amount for rents. And the problem with that is that it really hurts rental inventory. It ends up hurting the people it's trying to help, because a lot of landlords say, well, if I can't recoup my costs and make a little cash flow, I might as well sell the property. And then that property is no longer out there for rent, right? So rent control this year, and in Illinois, what the effort is there's a legislator who is trying to repeal a ban on rent control in Illinois. And the reason for that ban is because everywhere rent control has been tried, it's failed miserably. And so by repealing that ban, it would enable Chicago primarily to pursue a rent control ordinance or a cap on rents. So anyway, long story short, it's been a few years. This legislation has gotten introduced. This past year was interesting and actually was the biggest challenge yet, because the sponsor of the rent control legislation was actually made chairman of a housing committee in the House of Representatives in Springfield. And so as chair of that committee, it was almost like, okay, we know this thing's probably going to get out of committee, but we rallied our members. We got a lot of messages in at that committee. It did pass out of committee. And then when it got to the full floor, it actually did not get called for a vote. And here's why. And I don't think I'm saying anything that's private, but the Speaker of the House, there's a new speaker this year. His name is 𝗬𝘃𝗲𝗀𝘃. He told legislators that if you have a bill and you want it to get called for a vote, you have to prove to me that you have enough votes that it'll pass, because we've got too much to do. We don't have time to spin our wheels on something that's not going to pass. And so apparently what happened is the bill sponsor tried to get those votes together, but we were both, furiously working in Springfield, reaching out to legislators, and the bill ultimately was not called for a vote in front of the whole House of Representatives.